Good morning, welcome to Bitcoin Bounce. My name is Joseph and I'm here with Dion, and today we're going to look at a clip from Steve from Crypto Crew University, and he's talking about this incoming death cross, and he estimates that it's going to come in around about the 3rd of October. Now, Dion, before we get into this video, what is the death cross, and what does it mean when we see a death cross?
So the death cross is this one here. It's the green green MA that he uses. So this is a 50 MA and a 200 MA. So you can see here when the price last crossed up, it was the 30th of June 2019. So it was up up until now. So it's really a very big change in direction when that normally happens. So that is what he's looking at the moment.
Okay. Now, what is the significance? So we're looking at the death cross. Does that mean Bitcoin is going to go down now? Or what are we supposed to read from a technical analysis point of view?
So normally with the MAs, you'll see if you go back in history and if you look at a shorter time frame, maybe like a 1 hour, and you put a 50 MA and a 200 MA on your chart on a 1 hour, you would see that cross is actually quite late. So the cross is normally after the biggest move has actually happened. So, and you can see it clearly this time around. So the massive dump has already actually happened, and that cross is just like the final nail in the coffin verification that kind of happened. Normally after that, it would still go down for a while. It could go down and then sideways. But sometimes it just touches. It could literally just come down, touch the 50 could come down, touch the 200, and then just bounce off there. So that could also happen, but it might also be a longer term. That's why they call it a death cross, that it could for a month or 2 or 3 or 4 be under the 200 going sideways and down. It's possible, but normally when that crosses, it actually kind of more signifies nearly the end of a move, I think, in this case as well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so what's interesting with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has pretty much since its inception just been going up. It actually never really went down. You must now look at a short-term chart. If you look at the longer-term chart, you'll see it's pretty much just a straight line to the upside. So that's why every time when it made a significant dip, it just crossed the dead cross to the downside, and then immediately it started going up again. And so the expectation is that we're going through the same process. Okay, but let's jump in. Let's listen to Steve. And I think it's going to be very encouraging. He's a very positive guy. But he's also looking at the charts, and he says, you mustn't let emotions come in. You must let the charts give you the facts. So let's listen to him.
Now, what you'll notice right now in price action, I want you to see what price action is doing right now. Look at where our red line is right now. Look at where our green line is right now, and compare that to past cycles. And we've got a major problem. I want to start by talking about how these are similar, and then I'm going to talk about how they're different and how it's acting differently. And then I'm going to follow that up with what I think is going to happen. We're going to do it in that order. First, we're going to talk about how these charts are similar, how 2022 is similar to 2018 and similar to 2015. Then we're going to talk about how they're different and why that's a problem. And then we're going to talk about what I think is going to happen. So let's start with number one. How are they similar? Well, if we go back to 2015, and again, we've only had a couple of these in Bitcoin's entire history. When the green line crosses below the red line, what you'll notice is we're going to look at when our bottom was, right? And we're just going to take a measured move to the cross, meaning we're looking at when the market bottomed versus when we had this 5-day death cross. And we noticed that when we bottomed to the time of the 5-day death cross was about 125 days back in 2015. We want to understand timing, like where are we at? Are we on schedule? Are we ahead of schedule? Are we behind schedule? So remember that number. Now we get to 2018, the second time in history for Bitcoin that this green line crossed below the red line. We know now that this was the market bottom, right? Let's take a measurement from this market bottom to the point of when we had this death cross. and it's 135 days. So the first one was 125 and this one was 135, almost the same. So 135 days after the market bottomed, we had this beautiful 5-day death cross. Now let's look at 2022, because maybe that could be very different, right? Maybe this could be way off. But on this channel, we have called a little over 90 days ago that the bottom was in. I know it's highly controversial. I know everybody wants to say that we're wrong, that we're going a lot lower, and that's fine. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. We base everything off of facts, and so far, those are the facts that are more probable than not. So let's hypothetically say this is the bottom. Could we be on schedule? Because it was 125 days and 135 days, and we, knowing the charts, we have to know if it's similar or really different, or there's something majorly wrong, right? So let's hypothetically say that it's the bottom. Now we're going to when we're projected to cross, which is October 3rd, we're projected to have this 5-day death cross. It'll be 110 days, right in line. When the 115, 125 days, it's right in line, okay? So that part, we're good. Okay, and you can see that this is an indicator actually my students have for free, where it projects out where these death crosses will go, and you can see the dots will cross on October 3rd. It also projects it out well into the future to see where those lines are. They will come in handy in a moment, but that's how things are similar. We can say, okay, if this hypothetically is the bottom, we're going to have this 5-day death cross in a pretty similar fashion than the others. And by the way, when we had this 5-day death cross back in 2015, it was another signal that the bottom was in, right? We had this death cross, the bottom was in, and we had already been pretty much halfway through this bear market, and things were on the up and up, right? And same in 2018. We had this death cross here, the bottom was already in, and we were well on our way into the next bull run really starting. Okay, so that is a clear indication of how things are similar. We don't technically know if the bottom is in or not, but here's where things get really interesting. When you start taking a deeper look at this chart and you start asking yourself, how have things acted similar or different? Well, in 2018 and in 2015, what we did with price action was obviously we had a bottom, but we battled with this red line. We battled it. We drove all the way up. We even had a wick all the way through. We even had a couple bodies through here. We even had one body close above, right? And we didn't battle it just once. We battled it 2, 3 times, battled this red line. Now in 2018, we also battled this red line. Look at, we bottomed here. We battled all the way back up, rallied all the way up to hit this red line. And then we did again here, right? Before the 5-day death cross. So there was 2 touch points here and 3 earlier where price had such bullish movement that we rallied all the way up to this red line. Now I want you to look at 2022, because this is where things start to take a turn. This is where things start to act differently. You can see the red line presented in front of you. It's the 200 MA, and again, we're on the 5-day. We hypothetically bottomed here, but we have not rallied even close to this red line. Keep in mind, before we had the 5-day death cross, there were at least 2 touch points on this red line, and sometimes upwards of 3, which we had in 2015. We've had 0, and we haven't even come close. It's not like we rallied up close to the red line and we're like, we'll call it quits. We'll rally back down. No, we haven't even come close. So this is where things start acting differently. Yes, we are about 110 days in. Yes, it's marked the market bottom before. Yes, it marked that the bottom was in and that the bull run was commencing. All of those things are true except for the bullishness. So then we ask ourselves, why is Bitcoin not as bullish as before? And what levels are these anyway? What levels would this even be at? If we look at the current candle, which will close in a couple days, we have to go up to the current candle to know that it's about 30K. Meaning Bitcoin should have rallied up to 20 or 30K a few times by now, and it hasn't. So what does that mean? What's my opinion? What do I think is going to happen? Now that we've presented all of the facts, these are just the facts, everything that we presented so far, which is why you just subscribe to our channel. The only thing we talk about are the facts. We don't talk about our emotional opinion. When we called for the bottom to be in, we based it on about 7 different charts and only the facts. And again, going against the herd, right? That's why you just subscribe to our channel. Now that we've laid out the facts, you have all of the facts in front of you. And by the way, look at how this green line is and how have we played with the green line before? Because when we rallied up to the red line and we finally broke through it, we had to really get through this green line as well. And once we did that, we were off to the races. And if we look at 2015, right, we battled this red line once, twice, 3 times, but we also battled the green line, right? And once we finally got above both, holding both as support, then the bull run was really true, right? We have to hold both of these as support. And once we started to do that here, that's when we were off to the races. And you can say the same is true for 2018. Once we held both the red line and the green line as support, that's when prices exploded. That's what we're looking for, but we're so far away from them. The green line, as we speak with this current candle, is at roughly 31K and clearly dropping. You can project it out to be roughly on November 2nd, this green line will be roughly 27K. And the red line on the same date would be roughly 30K. And you can project it all the way out here. You can see even in January, we'll be down here at 21K, right? Depending on when we rally. Now, the question becomes, well, what do I think about this? Because clearly there are some similarities. Clearly there's some data points that we can draw on, but there are clear differences. And there's the clear-cut differences. Why isn't Bitcoin being bullish at all whatsoever, rallying up to 28, 30K? We should have had multiple touch points by now. What do I think is happening? Well, here's my honest take. In the big picture, at this moment, I still believe that the bottom is in. Now, the question is, why hasn't Bitcoin been bullish? Is there something wrong? Could this mean turmoil? I think the short answer is no. It doesn't mean turmoil. It means that when we bottomed, we still haven't seen a lot of bullishness in the market, which is a good thing. We've been moving sideways, creating a base, which is another good thing. But the market's been relatively stagnant, which is also a good thing and a common thing for bull runs. Now, here's where things get interesting. I think if Bitcoin in the next couple of weeks rallied up here, it would be a little bit out of the ordinary to most people. But now that you've watched this video, you will say, oh, that's par for the course. We're supposed to rally up to this red line and we're supposed to get resistance. What I think is going to happen is Bitcoin is going to continue to move sideways and we're eventually going to rally up to this red line and we should get rejection. We should also get some resistance from this green line. And I think those are next, but I think we're on schedule. It's just Bitcoin is moving a little bit slower.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Dion. This was some good information. What did you think about it?
It looks great. It looks great. So it looks as if I think also this time everyone knows Bitcoin is a bit more manipulated. So I think that's why they're just extending this this fear in the market. But I think he's right, and we'll soon after be going to the upside.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. Guys, thank you. We're going to be back again on Friday morning. We're going to skip tomorrow after this announcement tonight at 8 o'clock. We just want to give the market a little bit of a time to settle. And then Friday morning, I believe, we're going to have some good signals before we hit the weekend. Please hit the like and subscribe button and share this information with your friends. We're not a very big community, but we're going to keep going and we trust that a lot more people will join us. Thank you. Have a nice day. Thank you, Dion.
Great, guys. Cheers. See you on Friday.